morning. The Fox 61 Morning News starts now.
The most progressive bill in American history.
A third stimulus bill heading right for the president's desk. What $1.9 trillion could mean for your own family. We'll take a look this morning.
A year is way too long.
And what is next for Connecticut nursing homes? Could it become easier for you to visit a loved one? We will take a look at that as well. Good morning, everyone. It is 5 o'clock. I'm Keith Mcgilvery. We do want to start with breaking news from overnight right off the top. Take a look at this video here. A person hit by a car. This happening in Bristol, all along Route 72. Gabby Molina was out there for us live as it all unfolded. The victim flown to the hospital. We are waiting an update at this point. If you travel this stretch, we do know Route 72 now back open. Meanwhile, a car rollover also under investigation. This in Glastonbury. I want to get you right to the video full here. Police saying a driver hit a parked car at an Enterprise rental parking lot on London Turnpike earlier yesterday evening. A dramatic scene here. Look at that car as crews worked to extract that driver from the vehicle. There was one person in that car who was taken to the hospital in serious condition. We are awaiting an update there as well. And new this morning, fire forcing people from their apartment complex in Fairfield. Take a listen. As you're taking a look at the video here, flames just shooting right out of that window. Very much a team effort. We know a number of departments turning out to help. Fire officials say they think they were able to prevent millions of dollars in potential damage here. This is all still under investigation earlier this morning, but the scene there from above, pretty darn dramatic as those firefighters are getting to work there. The good news in all of this at this point, meteorologist Dana Moranti, is that we are learning that no one was hurt. So certainly some good news on that front. It was a bit of a warmer day yesterday. I was along the Connecticut River. It was just beautiful there. And you are suggesting that we could see more good weather throughout the day today.
Yeah, temperatures possibly up around 10 degrees higher than yesterday in a lot of spots, which is definitely an improvement. And we're improving on something that was already pretty nice to begin with. Yesterday was a pretty good day. Today we may have a bit more cloud cover in the morning and even into the middle of the day, but overall a warmer day, a nicer day by a lot of people's standards. So it's going to be a little foggy this morning. That's just something of note, something to keep in mind. We are seeing some fog developing across parts of the state, but nothing that's going to slow you down too much, although obviously you may want to tap the brakes if you're out there and you come across some of this fog. Right now, around a mile-and-a-half visibility in the Danbury area, a little lower towards Bridgeport coming in at about a quarter-mile visibility, Monroe coming in at about a half mile. So that's something we'll keep in mind. We'll be keeping an eye on that, but overall, a little bit of fog to deal with, just something to keep in the back of your mind this morning. On the temperature map, we're in the 30s to around 40, and even some mid-40s out there all over the place. Going from 31 in Groton, that's a cool spot. Groton, not typically the cool spot this time of year during the morning hours anyways, but that's what you have. 31 in Groton, 32 Willimantic, all the way up to 44 in New Haven and 45 in Chester. So all over the place, 31 to 45 across the state right now, but generally somewhat of a milder morning. And we have that cloud cover, that fog this morning, so it may look a little dreary this morning, but then by the middle of the day, look at 11:30 as we head into the lunchtime hour. Beautiful weather overall, breaking out that sunshine, maybe a couple of passing clouds. So the fog to sunshine with temperatures into the 60s to near 70 for many inland towns. Just wonderful. So a delightful day, a little cooler along the shoreline. Keep that in mind. It's going to be in the 50s along the shoreline where you have a bit of a sea breeze developing, just like yesterday. It'll keep you somewhat cooler, but with 50s on tap for today along the shore, I don't think too many people will be complaining. So good stuff out there for the weather today. And I'm also keeping an eye on traffic. So we'll talk about the full 7-day forecast in a little bit, but traffic is showing a little bit of fog across some parts of the state, like along the shoreline. I've been watching some of the cameras here, and one right around the Fairfield area is showing a little bit of that fog kind of developing. So it's something we'll be watching for throughout the morning. Hopefully it doesn't impact traffic too much, but there's a little bit of that out there. This is Fairfield, 95 north and south, at least moving along nice and smoothly. Other than that, across the rest of the state, no major issues. This is 91 in the Hartford area. You can kind of see that little haziness to the sky, almost kind of like when you first wake up and you try to blink a few times, but you still got like that little layer of haze in front of your eyes. That's kind of what we have out there this morning with some of that fog developing. So something we'll watch for. We'll have another traffic update and weather update as well coming up in just a few minutes. That's the latest for now. We'll send it back to you.
A brand new COVID relief package making its way to the president's desk, and it could mean checks for millions of Americans from coast to coast, but not everyone is on board thinking it's a good idea. Our update this morning from Karen Kafa.
We say to America, help is on the way. Help is on the way. You will receive $1,400 checks by the end of March.
With their signatures, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer officially marked the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan's passage through Congress, despite not receiving a single vote from Republicans in the House or the Senate.
On this vote, the yeas are 220, the nays are 211. The motion is adopted.
The bill now heads to President Joe Biden's desk for signing.
I look forward to signing it later this week. Everything in the American Rescue Plan addresses a real need, including investments to fund our entire vaccination effort.
Biden plans to appoint someone to oversee the implementation of the rescue plan.
They are looking for ways to maximize, of course, the impact of every dollar.
Now, on the eve of marking 1 year since the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic, the president is previewing his address to the nation Thursday night. And what's next in the country's battle against the pandemic?
I'm going to launch the next phase of the COVID response and explain what we will do as a government and what we will ask of the American people. There is light at the end of this dark tunnel of the past year.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
So we know there are a whole lot of questions here about what this plan will mean for your own family. We have a breakdown of the American Rescue Plan right now at fox61.com. We want to give you a heads up. If you text the number on your screen, 860-527-6161, 860-527-6161, what that will do is it will bring you right to our stimulus check calculator. It is free and easy to use to give you a better feel for what could be coming your way. Also want to give you a heads up. Tonight, President Joe Biden plans to address the country to mark the 1 year since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. His first primetime address of his presidency. Heads up, you can watch it all live right here on the Fox 61 station at 8 o'clock. And then, of course, stick around. Jen and Ben will have the news for you at 10 o'clock. Connecticut's COVID-19 number is seeing more positive signs here. The number of people currently in the hospital for COVID-19 falling by 11. And our positivity rate now sitting at about 3.07%, which is down from Tuesday. You can see over the last month, our average positivity rate falling from 4.5% down to 2.3%. Sadly, though, Connecticut reporting 13 new deaths since earlier this week. New this morning, Chatham Health District has created a wait list based on unused vaccine doses. According to Chatham Health, they occasionally have a few doses available at the end of their vaccination clinic, so all you have to do is fill out the online form to get your name on that waiting list. You do need to be eligible for the vaccine to take part. Info on how to sign up right now at fox61.com. Also want to let you know Target and CVS teaming up. They're planning to make the COVID-19 vaccine available at more than 600 stores across 17 states, including here in Connecticut. We do know that all of the appointments at this point in the state of Connecticut are booked, so you want to keep an eye on that as things move forward. Meanwhile, to Moderna now testing out its potential COVID-19 vaccine booster for protection from emerging virus variants. The vaccine maker announcing Wednesday that part of its phase 2 study has started, and 60 participants who were already vaccinated with Moderna's original COVID-19 vaccine will be given a booster of its modified vaccine. Some Connecticut hospitals easing visitor restrictions, this all because of the state's improving COVID-19 picture. St. Francis Hospital now allowing one adult visitor for each patient between the hours of noon and 8 p.m. No visitors allowed for patients who have tested positive for COVID-19. For minors, the kiddos there, it is 2 parents per patient allowed. So some good news for families there. Branford schools returning to in-person instruction much sooner than many had expected. The district originally planning to have this happen in mid-April, but parents arguing that was not soon enough. Fox 61's Dave Puglisi has the details this morning.
The rise of a petition in order to try to get students back into class faster had Brantford's Board of Education taking another look at their plan. A survey sent out to students and staff led to a split response.
Really just set this up for you guys to represent us as the community.
Having community voices heard was the reason why Jen Orlando started a Change.org petition. She and over 500 others who signed were asking for the Brantford Board of Education to move up their date for full in-person learning.
And then come to us and have an open petition discussion, not have breakdown sessions like what has been going on.
The board had originally planned to be back in the classroom by April 19th, but the push caused them to reconsider. They sent out surveys to students and staff to weigh in on the decision making.
And the input was very, very important and was part of all of the decisions and part of the presentation and the adjustments that you'll see later on this evening.
Of the 52% of student families across the school system that voted, 58% were in favor of moving back into the classroom by the end of March. Although teachers felt things should stay hybrid until conditions improve. Their biggest concern was over social distancing in the classroom.
We feel really, really comfortable. We have the 6 feet now. We probably will go down to 2 or 3 feet. People just need to know that.
The Board of Education has chosen to phase back into in-person learning sooner than originally planned. Elementary students will be back in full as soon as March 22nd, with high schoolers rounding out the phase in the week of April 5th. While the Board of Education notes this is exciting news to students, they say it won't come without its growing pains.
This is a heavy lift for staff, but this is a heavy lift also for students.
The board also says that 73% of all Brantford public school staff have gotten at least their first dose of the vaccine. They would not speculate when that number might hit 100%. In Brantford, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.
Wishing those families and educators all the best. A lot more to get to as the Fox 61 Morning News continues. Ahead for you this morning, what is smart justice? And what could it mean for the state of Connecticut? We'll take a look. Also ahead for you, jury selection continuing for the trial against the former Minneapolis police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck. An update as preparations here continue to unfold.
All right, welcome back. Happy Thursday. Meteorologist Dan Ranty here. Let's get you up to date with the forecast. It's going to be a warm one out there today. But just how warm? You know, are we getting to 75? Are we getting to 70? Are we getting to 65? Like, what kind of numbers are we talking here? I think for most of the state, inland towns will be in the 60s to possibly near 70. There could be a couple of towns up around the Windsor Locks area, around Suffield and Granby, and up towards that north central part of the state that could get up to around 70, maybe 71. Are we getting to record territory? Not quite. Let's take a look at the record highs that we have for today. 75 degrees is the record high set back on this date in 1977. So it was a very warm March 11th, apparently, back on this date in 1977. You had 67 degrees at Bridgeport. That was also the record high for Bridgeport. So I don't think these records are going to fall. We may fall short by a little bit. Bridgeport may be a little close. You could get up to around 62 or 63 at Bridgeport. But I think even though Bradley Airport's going to get up to near 70, it's not going to quite be 75. So still some warm weather out there. Now out there this morning, we also have a bit of fog to deal with. Some fairly dense fog in a few locations. We're starting to see that develop, especially along the shoreline. Fairfield County, that 95 corridor. I've been keeping an eye on traffic this morning, and a lot of the cameras are showing some of that fog across the shoreline. So just keep that in mind if you're out and about. Give yourself maybe a few extra minutes, because things are going to be a little slower. You know, instead of going 65, you might be going 55 today. Just something to keep in mind. Overall, that fog will be with us the next few hours, and then it'll kind of gradually decline as we go on through the morning. It'll kind of fizzle out. So overall, those temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. We're all over the place. 31 at Groton, but look just to the left, or just to the west of Groton. Chester coming in at 45, New Haven at 44. Hartford's at 40 right now. Willimantic's down to 32. Waterbury's hanging on at 40, and Danbury's at 45. So all over the place for temperatures, but generally on the milder side. A lot of cloud cover out there as well. So we have clouds and fog to start off the day, but during the day I think we'll clear it out and get some sunshine in here. Temperatures into the 60s, and as I said, some towns near 70 inland, but most of us probably right around 66, 67, 68, somewhere around there. Obviously a very warm day with that sun coming up this morning at 6:09. As I said, some of that fog this morning, and those cooler temperatures along the shoreline as you stay in the 50s. Tonight, it's going to be a mild night. Mostly cloudy skies, possibly a couple of showers developing, and the wind picking up by the early morning hours into the morning tomorrow as we have a front coming through. There's 7 a.m. tomorrow showing a couple of showers around the area. So around like 4 to 7 a.m. we could have a couple of rain showers to deal with and some fairly gusty winds. And then during the day we'll get it back into the 60-degree range. So another warm day for your Friday. Then by Saturday, not so warm. We have another reinforcing shot of some cooler air coming in. It'll come along with a pretty gusty breeze. By Saturday, during the early morning hours, we're talking like 1, 2 a.m. or so, we may have some wind gusts up around 40, possibly 50 miles per hour in some areas around southern New England. So something we'll keep an eye out for. But that brings in some cooler temperatures as we go on through the weekend, topping out in the mid-40s and then some mid-30s, mid to upper 30s for the start of next week. But that's a short-lived cool snap. We go right back up into the 40s for St. Patrick's Day. So all in all, this is just a spring fling here that we have these next couple of days, and then we'll cool it off a bit as we head through the 7-day forecast. We'll have more updates on this, and of course, a look at traffic coming up in a little bit. That's the latest for now. I'll send it back to you, Keith.
Just about 5:20 this morning, and we know now 5 jurors have been seated so far as jury selection continues in the trial of the former Minneapolis police officer charged in George Floyd's death. The judge also weighing in on several motions here, including allowing the defense to argue Floyd's drug use contributed to his death. For the prosecution, the judge will allow at least 2 witnesses to testify about Floyd's character. Meanwhile, we also learned the 3 other former officers charged in Floyd's death will not testify in the former officer Derek Chauvin's trial that's coming up, prohibited by their attorneys. The defense also arguing taped statements by those 2 officers should not be permitted.
I would not have the ability to cross-examine those other witnesses. I cannot breathe. You just said, "Grow." I can't breathe.
And you'll remember this video. Chauvin, who was seen kneeling on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes last May, pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. Fox 61 there as a rally took place ahead of yesterday's hearing on criminal justice reform in Hartford. The ACLU of Connecticut's Smart Justice campaign got leaders together to call for prosecutorial accountability and create full, clean slates. It would also reinvest money saved, they say, by closing Northern Correctional Institution into housing and health programs for people on parole and those previously behind bars.
Clean slate will create the light at the end of the tunnel for not only me, but for tens of thousands of people alone in our state that have earned the right to rebuild their lives.
The so-called clean slate bill would automatically expunge the criminal records of people who have served their time, returned into the community, and remained crime-free for a period of time. Connecticut would be the 6th state with a clean slate law if that were to pass. A lot more to get to as the Fox 61 Morning News continues this Thursday morning. A big announcement for sports in Connecticut. What we're learning, the information your young athletes and families need to know coming up, plus parenting during the pandemic. We sat down with a renowned neuroscientist and mom, and she is sharing her experience in Family First.